guys, we just played them, you have them, right? They're not playing good.
Wow, nice. Nice speech, bro. You just play them, you have them. Okay.
You have them.
You just need to play them.
Doing running, Humanoid running. Already used the flight, the flash from Mikyx. Oh, he's not happy about game one. He's looking to bring it back.
Azir. Hang on, Jinx. Jinx is... Get them all.
Yike is strong, extra healing coming in from the Frenzy Maul. Another 900 HP, baby! Polar Bear going crazy in the 2v1.
And welcome back in LEC Spring Finals as G2 comes back in this best of 5. And I'm here with Nuke to do a bit of a breakdown because Nuke, we saw a consistent champion throughout these playoffs. Aurelion Sol, Space Dragon, quite strong.
Yeah.
You made an experience of this yesterday playing against Marek. How is it playing against this champion?
I mean, I saw, especially of the Q change, right?
Yeah.
It was like hot fixed, and now Aurelion Sol is way weaker in early game. And so it's his weakness, right? You have to take advantage from lane. Like, for example, here you can see Caps 1v1, he's taking flash of Humanoid. He just showed the weakness of the champion, right? But the thing is that with this champion, no matter what you do in early game, no matter how behind he is, if you overforce one time on the wrong timer, he's just there pressing the best ult in the game and just one-shotting everyone. So,
yeah.
It
feels like this champion, the scaling is one part, but the tools provided that the champion are also what makes it strong. And I feel like this is a champion that suits Humanoid a lot because he's going to be the late game guarantee for Fnatic and the clutch factor often. Do you think this Aurelion Sol, even though he was maybe poorly executed, is the type of champion for him?
I mean, yeah. I totally agree. I think that this champ is perfect because, like, especially against Caps, which I think has a better knowledge about lane or like to take advantage, right? 1v1. He will come to the late game with his E ult, press his button, and enemy will, if they make a mistake, will just collapse. And I think this is why this champion is really great for him.
And everything was going well for them, right? Until one point, but I want to roll a second fight that we selected because here, Nuke, talk me about the ability of Aurelion Sol to clutch fights in the mid to late game.
Yeah, here they forced mid because Azir was spotting bot, right? But it kind of shows like the situation Aurelion Sol don't want to be in.
Yeah.
It's like when you have to like force. When you like when enemy is coming to you on a straight line and not flanking, and when this happens, you're just in a really good spot. But this is like a bit forced, and then after it happens, that Azir TP and that does the fight.
So we had G2 forcing on one side, Fnatic forcing on the other, but in the end, G2 takes the lead. Do you think this is what failed for Fnatic here? Should they have been a bit more cautious, taking their time, waiting for G2 to come to them?
Yeah, I agree. I think especially for the Nash fight where they like flipped it, I think they should have just take it slowly.
All right.
Let them come into them and just play their game slowly instead of like rushing things.
Nuke, merci beaucoup. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you very
this
much.
breakdown. And let's see what the desk has to say about this game. Sjokz, over to you.
Thank you so much. They'll turn the lights on, I'm sure. But I want to get straight into that Nash replay. There we go. And the fact that actually before that we saw that Fnatic again was strong in the skirmishes, was strong in the fights, looked like they were poised to take over the game. But then the Baron happens. Talk me through this.
Oh, the Baron, man. Why do you gotta flip it? You guys were doing so good.
That's Fnatic, man.
They were doing so good, and then they just got into the situation where there's a 50-50, and obviously Volibear with the E burst together with the smite has a lot of like steal potential. They just got the Nash, stole the Nash, and then Volibear was a menace in the backline of this fight. I also think maybe Humanoid could have lived here, but G2 cleaned it up.
Yeah, I mean, it was pixel perfect together with the Super Mega Death Rocket that came through as well. Like that smite and ultimate came down, and even that ultimate of Jinx has been known in the past to steal away objectives. And you can see the goal difference being in Fnatic's favor slowly but surely. And it comes back to that third Drake again, as we saw in game 1, where G2 keeps posturing for the third Drake fight. They have a slight lead, but Fnatic out team fights them there, and then they want to run away with the game. But as we obviously just saw on the Baron, G2 called it back.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, definitely, that Yike was able to get in there, and Finn overall, comparatively to the Rek'Sai, the Volibear not only in the lane swap scenario, but also the way he piloted it to bring this game home. It was a joy to watch. He was even dancing on it.
I mean, Yike had an incredible game. I think he kind of solo carried his game almost. I think because the big thing about Volibear in this lane swaps is that you can always dive the side, because his ult obviously disables the tower, so even if they try to cover with the support, they can still threaten that dive. And the flash down is always so, like this play was incredible by him, he clutched it out, got the Thunder Sky proc at the correct timing, and then he walked back in for the last W, chomp, just like that, double stun, boom, easy. I do think we're gonna see an increase in Volibear prio coming this draft. Like, Now I think Fnatic is probably going to look to choose blue side and maybe even pick it themselves. Oh, he's going to dance on him.
No, this
He's going to
keeps
dance on
going.
him.
I
He's
love
going to dance on
this.
him.
Yeah.
I mean, the shielding is just insane.
Oh
as well. Just
my
It's like
he's
one
dancing
extra
on him.
auto attack down for it, right? But it's typical. You were saying this as well, Finn, to me while we were watching the game. But Yike just always pops off doing finals, and that is so impressive for a guy who's supposed to be the newest addition to this roster, but continuously shows up.
Yeah, newest, but I want to drop that because he's been with them for a long time.
I still think it's
for
impressive.
Now. Definitely the newest and definitely impressive. I won't take anything away from Yike for sure. But now we're all squared up. So where do we go from this then? Because I feel like I'm actually quite happy with what I've seen with Fnatic in comparison with what I expected, but they're still, they lost game 2, so.
I mean, I really want G2 to drop this science strat because I feel like it's only hurting Broken Blade's
Reddit hates
agency.
it.
No, but Broken Blade, like I feel like Broken Blade is one of the strengths of G2 compared to Oscar. And by doing the science strat, I think he's kind of locked out of the game and is getting he's not getting as much.
Are they like shooting themselves in the foot?
I feel like they are kind of like hurting their own chances a little bit.
Oh my, Broken Blade is shooting himself in the foot. You heard it here first. Drop that Scion strat. We do not want to see it. Let's get into the picks and bans for game 3 where Fnatic choose the blue side.
Thank you, Sjokz. You heard it here second. We do not want to see the Scion. No more. Because I think that while it's, you know, we don't want to oversimplify, and we obviously don't get to see all of what G2 is scrimming and practicing. Certainly it feels like on paper you would favor Broken Blade in a straight 1v1. And maybe not this split.
I mean, he was Winter Split MVP finals.
Yeah.
Like, his Cassante was insane. He was having a great performance. And I believe that lane swapping as a tool in certain situations is valuable.
Yep.
And I think that, especially in a meta where the AD carries are largely dominated by, you know, Kalista, Varus, even to more of a degree recently the Lucian, when you have these strong dominant bot lane 2v2s, being able to lane swap to be able to avoid them is, I think, an effective tool. But I do also think that G2 are kind of abandoning options that they have available to answer some of this aggression, like Poppy is really good into things like Kalista, right? That because they tunnel so hard on making sure they get this lane swap, I think sometimes they put themselves in difficult positions. And frankly, Fnatic is just team fighting better overall than G2 is in this series.
Well, and G2 certainly aren't really setting themselves up. We are going to see the Scion banned away. So interestingly, Fnatic are the ones who don't want to deal again with the lane swap strategy. Now, there are other tanky top lane options. We've seen Oscar pull out a few of them.
Zach.
Like
Blind Zach, though?
I think anticipating the lane swap, Blind Zach
Can't
is
Broken
really
Blade just
bold.
slam like a Darius now or something? Like, not that he has to do it now, but...
Well, I think the thing is, Fnatic are probably going, as you say, they're anticipating the lane swap. So if G2 end up taking something along the lines of like a Jinx Lulu here or something like that, then you're like, oh, okay, they are going to go for it and you can respond in kind. But I think you end up in this weird scenario now where G2, as red side, you can kind of find it a little bit more difficult to get the champions that you're interested in to make the lane swap more viable.
And while we haven't seen Fnatic be the team in most drafts to initiate the lane swap, if a Darius comes through and then Fnatic go for a lane swap, that is a miserable champion to try to survive tower dives on. So it is going to be a more conservative choice for Broken Blade. If they lane 1v1, the Rek'Sai obviously has a ton of sustain. If we are in a lane swap situation, there's...
Kalista, Lucian, Xayah are all the champions I'm thinking right now. And they're going to go Kalista. So unless Fnatic throw a fast one and they lane swap on us, I'm expecting this to be a bot lane 2 versus 2. Varus likely to be the response. And we talked about Poppy earlier.
There we go.
It's Razork's go-to, right? It's one of his most impressive jungle champions. He has a huge amount of success on the champion. And the Varus to pair alongside it gives Noah an effective answer into the Kalista.
And you already have great engage with the Zach, so the Poppy just gets to be that follow-up player that can try and lock down the Kalista in certain opportunities with the steadfast presence, interrupts the Rek'Sai, and as well, you've actually got a decent enough matchup in the bottom side where Varus at least can farm against the Kalista without having too much trouble, and even if you opt in towards a poke as well, you can base your mid lane pick off of, well, now the Azir on the opposite side and figure out exactly what you want to try and go for here as Fnatic.
Looking at something like a Nautilus here as being a high prio, I wonder if Fnatic will look to ban it away. G2 wouldn't be surprised to see the Aurelion Sol banned, the Talia, another ban potential. But there it is. Orianna is the only other one, but admittedly in Europe, Orianna has fallen dramatically in terms of where it falls in the priority list. So Aurelion Sol definitely seems to be higher on the priority list in terms of bans. I'm curious as to where Fnatic is looking. They're looking at jungle right now. There's always the possibility of this Rek'Sai being moved into the jungle. We've seen it multiple times from Yike, even though our expectation right now is this will go to Broken Blade. But they don't want to run the risk of Yike. We know that he can play both carries and supportive junglers, depending on what he's feeling and what the team needs.
G2 are in a luxurious position, with the Rek'Sai, though, that they can flex it, as you mentioned. So can, if they want to, try to play through Broken Blade more on the top side, give him a more aggressive counter pick. Now that we've seen the kind of first 3 shakeout from either side, you can feel relatively confident there won't be a lane swap, a little bit more comfort in knowing that you will have that isolated top side 1v1. And it will be the Orianna band away, so room now for the Aurelion Sol to come out.
Aurelion Sol is just such a good opportunity here because you already got really good setup with the Zac. Zac leaps in, you throw down the Sky's Descend, or vice versa. So you just end up always connecting onto some sort of carries with the follow-up, and the bounce house is just so difficult to deal with. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the Aurelion Sol coming through. Also, something that we used to see a little bit more on the G2 side was a Hwei, which I think you could potentially go for here, but always way more vulnerable of that kind of swoop and scoop in the mid lane with the Azir.
Oh, I said you said way more vulnerable. Sorry.
Oh, no. I was like, why are you grinning at me like that?
It's like every cast is a quad cast. With okay. Twisted Fate now coming in for Broken Blade. So
yeah, and then
that is the flex.
But I don't know how I feel about this Rek'Sai jungle now.
Also,
their
Renata
engage is
still
not great.
Aurelion Sol taking their time. I will say, in the world of Mikyx Dark Technology, many years ago when he played a bunch of games with Reckless and solo queue, the Twisted Fate support, Twisted Fate Zillion bot lane was a thing. So there might be a world where Twisted Fate gets flexed again, but I don't think Fnatic have to be too concerned about that. Instead, just grabbing 2 of the strongest picks if this Renata comes through that we have seen across playoffs and across this, honestly, this entire year.
Fnatic's comp is well-rounded, very similar to what they've done so far in this series. Strong bot lane 2 versus 2. They have relatively weak sides. Their engage isn't the best. They're very reliant on Oscar to actually start the fight, but you do have the advantage of a lot of zone control in the form of Varus ultimate, Renata ultimate, the ultimate from the Aurelion Sol, and the Blitzcrank is going to round things out from G2. So G2's a lot more like pick potential, attacking side lanes, skirmishing, looking for smaller opportunities. Because when we kind of look at their 5v5, while it does have strengths, a lot of potential damage threats, a lot of ability to create chaos, they don't have a huge amount of utility. They don't have an easy way to actually engage onto these fights. And they're kind of reliant on Fnatic coming into them, which when you're playing with Aurelion Sol and Varus, you don't necessarily have to do.
I'm just pointing out, this would actually be a good game for Fnatic to lane swap. Because you've got the Renata.
Dagda,
you go top. Oscarinin on the Zac can actually farm. And we already saw with Zeus in the LCK. TF not exactly the best when it comes to surviving those lane swap scenarios. So I'm just lobbing it up there if Fnatic want to hit it.
If they don't, they're still not set up too bad, I think, in this draft. You do a lot of tools in the early to mid-game with skirmishes, with the Destiny setup. As we get later into the game, Fnatic have more opportunities to front to back. Their composition is really, really powerful. We'll see where Noah wants to go with the build overall. Not too many tanky champions on the opposite side, so I expect it will be the lethality Varus. But some time to adjust here. The runes. Final moments as we load into game here. 1-1 the series score. Match point for whoever can take this one. Game 3. Brief pause before we get into it. Let's get it going.
I don't think we'll be seeing any lane swap scenarios.
We will see level 1s though. I don't know how much solo queue you guys play, but Blitzcrank, level 1s. Pro players are no different.
If you've played against a Blitzcrank ever in your life, you've literally seen this exact maneuver.
The ward is down.
How cringe is warding, though? You know what I mean?
Yeah, come on, guys.
I like a Mickey. Mickey is the Blitzcrank. He's like, I am going to just keep going. There is no stopping me. And everyone in G2 is like, no, there's no one here. They probably know. He's like, I'm going.
I will say ambitious to pick Blitzcrank into Jun. You know, the man who literally...
is the Blitzcrank guy, especially since Lebrov's had a little bit of a rougher season towards the tail end here. This is a bold call and a lot of faith in individual ability for Mickey, who hasn't had the flashiest series yet. The Thresh game was all right. The first game on the Lulu was a bit of a travesty. Now Fnatic setting up a level 1 of their own.
Oh, hello Fnatic. Some sneaky shenanigans, which Caps is.
You said that so intimately. Hello Fnatic.
I mean, it's a calm setting. I'm working on my ASMR voice, you know.
Yes. Alternative career paths.
The Raptors. Look at how they fall.
The stretching strikes not quite gonna hit.
Broken Blade trying to steal them with the red card. Ooh, close.
Just leashes.
Wait, they lane swapped.
I'm sorry.
They lane
I said it was probably a good
They
one.
lane swapped. They literally said, hey, G2, guess what? You know?
Yeah. Nice try, guys. Not exclusive to you. We can also watch NIP VODs.
Yeah. Broken Blade, is he looking
Humanoid.
for a level 1
This
mid
is
gank?
really bold. The level 2 from Aurelion Sol is incredibly impressive. Humanoid knows that he tries to leverage that advantage, but now he's going to get punished for it. A quick flash out to safety. Caps now has a level 2 of his own.
I don't think that's the damage.
Gold card. WQ, one more auto, but a dive on the bottom side. In the meantime, Oscar now going to be in trouble, but Miky's taking the tower. Miky not quite going to drop. Kansama wants to finish this desperately. They need to finish off Oscarinin. They should have grabbed the first kill. It's first blood on the bottom side for G2. And we've just roll swapped.
Well, I've seen this before.
I've seen it before. The nameplates were switched, but we have seen that exact play 3 games in a row.
Broken Blade now ganking mid again.
Flash forward. Bit extra movement speed, but here comes Razork. Oh, it's just a level 1 TF with red buff. Humanoid still living. Can reset on the Astral Flight if he wants to. Still alive. Oh, Caps cannot get it. Fnatic laughing straight to the bank. It's not a clean early game, but they're getting everything they want. They're
Humanoid laughs at them as he glides over the wall and gets Razork 2 kills. BB hard overcommits to that play, flashing in and then face-checking the brush. Razork very quick with the punish, and Fnatic now lead the kills.
And you gotta wonder if G2 are regretting letting lane swaps out of the bag. You let the cat out of the bag, you cannot put it back in. They're owning that first hand. That said, Oscar getting the Broken Blade experience here in the early game.
Razork actually got a nice deal of his, which sounds weird, own Raptors. Because it means that there's less camps on the bot side here for Yike. As he starts to transition back up on towards his top side to be near Noah and Jun. So nice pick, but Humanoid is still the focus here.
Humanoid Astral Flight out, Razork there to cover. Not really a lot of angles of attack here for Miky.
Gentlemen, I'm about to read you Twisted Fate's passive, loaded
Yes.
dice. Upon killing a unit, Twisted Fate rolls his lucky dice, receiving 1 to 6 bonus gold.
Okay. Okay.
Small problem, he currently has 4 kills.
Of units. Of any kind of unit.
The problem, right, is that Broken Blade in these lane swaps, this is why Zaya struggled so much when HLE did the exact same thing to him, when you just deny the ability for him to farm. Oscar's fine being a low resource carry, right? He just needs to get health and he can ultimately still do his job. But for Broken Blade to be effective in a side lane, gold is super important. And being able to leverage the passive is one of his big strengths as a top laner.
Just not getting access to level 6 for so long just hurts the Twisted Fate as well. It just kind of makes him just null and void for so much of this game.
And now it becomes a dance around the map. Once again, G2 trying to match back towards the top, but of course the swap comes through from Noah and Jun. Broken Blade is forced to play on the defensive. He goes back to the reset. He moves into the top side of the jungle. Only level 3 for him. Admittedly, Oscar is still only level 1.
Yeah, he's been hanging out around mid lane, just hoping to, it looks like, sap some XP, maybe provide a little bit of threat here. Does get spotted.
Oh, could have got the ward XP, no!
Little extra damage now as Humanoid just continues to play a little bit forward, hoping to bait gaps in, it would seem.
The stretching, or the slingshot even, also scales with levels, so it's a little bit unfortunate. I don't know what Oscarinin actually started. I didn't get a chance to see it, but I'm pretty sure it was a Z, but it doesn't have the actual range on it to jump in.
Oh, it's Q.
Caps is on the opposite side. Oh, it's Q, was it?
Yeah, see it there as the observers toggle over Zach. This is, it's a
Do you notice what Broken Blade is doing? He's just shadowing his bot lane right now to get a little bit of experience. He's trying to get whatever he can. Hansama should tick over to level 5.
Imagine you have to follow an AD carry around on a champion who objectively gets more gold per minion kill. And you have to just sit there and watch him farm.
Well, maybe that's what's happening. It's just behind the scenes. It's just like BB going, look, Hans, come on.
Look,
like, think about it.
I'm
This is more gold overall.
It's just math. But you gotta feel for BB. A very masochistic series from him thus far. Gets dove like 30 times in the first 2 games, and now is an 11 CST.
Oscar, here we go. You know, while it's been rough for Broken Blade, you're still level 1 and it's 6 minutes into the game.
Stretching strikes, not sure if it's gonna hit. Don't know if it'll matter. Broken Blade
mids.
also does more damage. Nice scoop back. Miky goes him into the waiting arms of Yike. Caps grabbing that kill. Nice little 1-2 punch there in the mid lane.
Very nice combo. G2 equalize the kills. Oscar will finally feel the grace that is level 2. And the fans are up for G2. Hansama has now finally got the matchup that he's been looking for. But to what end? He does, of course, have that initial first blood kill that they were able to find onto Oscar, giving him the gold lead over Noah for the time being. But again, the game plan of this swap was not necessarily that Noah and Jun couldn't lane into this Kalista Blitz. It was more so about putting Broken Blade behind. And the man is only level 4, 7 minutes in. And even though comparatively Oscar is even more behind, he's going to offer much more value as we enter the mid game.
Definitely is, but still quickly approaching a 600 gold lead. So in the context of the 1v1, it would be easy to assume that Broken Blade is really building a significant advantage. But as you highlighted, Betty, as long as Oscar hits level 6 and has enough HP to push 3 buttons in a team fight, he's always going to be able to deliver that value. Whereas Broken Blade, yes, he can just be a gold card, but if there's no damage follow-up, it's not nearly as much CC as Zach is going to be.
I will say that one of the things that we see with lane swaps, though, is that towers fall very, very quickly. And if you have an isolated lane where Broken Blade is able to abuse the fact he has that level advantage, it will become very easy for G2 to, even with BB behind, shove in a wave, teleport mid lane, catch Humanoid off guard, try and use your lane states to your advantage. So you still do have to be careful as Fnatic, and I think that's why getting early dragons here is actually going to be quite good for Fnatic. The fact that they can try and use that to force fights away from Broken Blade just being able to use this level and gold advantage over Oscarinin.
Yeah, ultimately, G2 now have what they want, and you can see that Broken Blade is proving why this matchup can be very difficult for Oscar, getting bullied out.
Fnatic Razork, Hook gonna hit the Gromp.
That's not a poppy.
Definitely not. Frog gonna throw an auto back in vengeance. Noah hits decent bit of poke here. Obviously, as we get later into the game with 3 relatively squishy members in the Azir, the Kalista, and the Twisted Fate, the Varus poke can start to do a lot of work. But need to see Fnatic navigate the rest of this lane phase as well. They are at a bit of a deficit here. They do have that first Drake, but they did lose the first 3 grubs, so tower pressure on the top side.
Oh my God.
A bit more threatening. Jun now hooked up. Yike looking to follow. He has been marked by the Rek'Sai ultimate, and instantly he's going to fully commit here. Jun doesn't even have time to use the bailout. Buys himself an extra second, but Mikyx, eye set on Noah. Jun was already a dead man walking. Razork on the way down. He wants to turn it back. Noah can't quite get enough damage here. Just going to be that single kill on the bottom side in favor of G2.
Insane hook from Mikyx connecting with Jun, completely pulling him out, and Jun invests everything. The flash, the heal, the ultimate trying to escape, but G2 are able to chase him down with Yike being there with the ultimate himself.
I mean, Mikyx on the Hook champions, both previously and currently, definitely having a stronger performance than his game 1. He is looking, but he realizes Razork is a little too close for comfort, so they're not going to take that gamble. But this is the ideal setup right now for G2. Mikyx
waiting. A bit low. Razork definitely not the target that he was looking for here. Hansama doesn't have the defensive tools to get him out. Now it's Hansama who's going to be in trouble. Twisted Fate maybe just threatening, hoping to move his way in, but instead he's going into the mid lane. Hansama now dropping down. Yike pulled back by a clean handshake. Does have the tunnel to take him to safety, and now it's Caps who's in trouble. Oscar, he spent half this game at level 1, but level 6 finally here, and he puts it to good use in the mid lane.
Back to bot lane. Razork is looking for Yike.
Smite, extra movement speed, finishes it. Fnatic keeping pace with G2 in the early game.
Humanoid did fall in the mid lane though to that initial play, so at least G2 gets some back, but Fnatic getting the turnaround on bot side after what had been a devastating pick on the Jun is massive for the Fnatic crew.
Ultimately, I think a misplay from Mikyx. Doesn't realize that he's just standing on a ward. Fnatic know they have a health advantage as Jun makes his way back out onto the lane. The reset hasn't come through yet from G2, and then Hansam, I think, gets punished for this overstep from Mikyx, meaning that Fnatic can convert this into a number of kills. Great stuff from Fnatic, showcasing that they themselves are excellent at those early game skirmishes and 2v2s.
Reassigning their bottom lane to the mid lane, hoping to get a bit of pressure here. Obviously, strength of the Varus, even at level 7, 4 points in the arrow, plus the opportunity. Should let him clear out the waves quickly. It's now Hansama who's isolated. Up against Oscar, he's not going to be too concerned, but because he doesn't have the Blade of the Rune King yet, he has to be careful. That's a TP behind. Hansama in isolation, no summoner spells, and here comes Humanoid. That should be one dead Kalista. Mikyx on the chase, gonna try to pull Humanoid out, but Hansama surely doesn't have enough life. He continues to dance, he's getting away. There's no way that Kalista should live, but Hansama, with the support of Mikyx, will make it out, but now the follow-up play. Completely going wide there on the initial hostile takeover. Mikyx going to be sacrificed here. Fnatic at least going to walk away with one. Yike debating if he can save his support, but I think he just has to walk away. Fate's call up in the nick of time to keep Mikyx standing.
I think Oscarinin messed up the start of that play. If he queued the minion and auto-attacked Hansama, he would have managed to get the kiss. But without that, he ends up missing the initial stretching strike onto Hansama, can't hit the minion, and Hansama dances around perfectly with the help of Mikyx to get both of them out of that play.
Crucially, Broken Blade Brockenblade is given freedom to just hit onto this top tower. He gets a bunch of farm, XP, now level 8. Very quickly becoming more relevant in this game after Fnatic tried to deny him earlier on. Fnatic just short of a few HP bars. And they could have found themselves a few more kills. Humanoid even committing his TP to the play.
You can see Oscarinin coming up here, but there's really just a shell of a turret to defend. No one else on the way quite yet. Razork can pay his attention topside. Brockenblade delayed hitting the tower for an extra second to drop down and place that vision ward. Make sure they could see exactly where the lane assignments were going to be from the side of Fnatic. And now G2, pressure across the map in their favor means easy access to the second Drake of the game, Cloud. Will tie things up 1-1 with Fnatic in terms of overall Drakes.
Razork has started to walk his way up onto the top side to see if maybe he can make a cross map against Brockenblade. Maybe even look for the Void Grubs themselves. But with BB having as much control as he does on this top wave push, Razork can't really risk starting up the Void Grubs by himself. So G2 managed to get this Dragon and now will go back into their lanes to shove out the waves and deny Fnatic really having any sort of response.
As we look ahead to the game, with Fnatic slowly building this gold lead, it's going to be very important that Fnatic don't split up, that they don't let themselves get caught out by the potential combo of the Rek'Sai and the Twisted Fate, or Mikyx hiding in the brush here. Losing mid lane tower would be devastating early on, and while Humanoid has had the luxury in so many of these games on the Aurelion Sol to be the one flanking, when the destiny is there for Brockenblade, you have to be careful about fishing for those angles, unless you're going to be the one to get picked out.
For sure. Destiny primarily used there just for a bit of information, along with getting back to lane. Caps, is he in danger here?
Fly forward, extra slow coming in from the Rylai's. Caps patient though, not going to burn any unnecessary cooldowns, doesn't have the flash.
Rylai's doing work there for Humanoids. The bot tower should be exchanged finally for Fnatic. They get themselves on the tower kill board, but the gold largely remains even between the two teams.
TF pushing in the top side as well. BB, we got a good amount down thanks to these extra Void Grubs. And with Rift Herald now about to come up as well, I think there's a world where you just reset as G2's bot lane, rotate to mid lane, send BB bot, and you threaten Rift Herald while BB is able to threaten that tier 1 on the bottom side. So G2 in a really strong position when it comes to the map state, even though Fnatic did manage to just pick up that bottom tower.
I mean, I'm looking at Caps' TP. They might even choose to send Caps off to a side lane and keep the Twisted Fate closer to the objective that they want to contest. But with Huns overstaying in bot, I think this is the avenue for Fnatic to force that Herald. There's no way he's going to be able to collapse in time to be able to contest this. And I like this even more, what Fnatic are doing. Turn their attention to the top tower first, zone Brockenblade away, secure this objective, push in another wave on top, have Humanoid catch mid, and then use that pressure to maybe drop a few wards in the enemy jungle. You can already see a few of them dropped. Some deep wards here and here from the side of Fnatic. Those are going to start to get swept out by G2, but it ultimately sets up Fnatic nicely to be able to contest this Rift Herald after they've secured the tower.
Yeah, I think for G2, it's about trying to play off of mid-wave here and see if maybe you can try and trade on towards the tier 2, but you have to be so careful as Fnatic. They can just have the option of continue to push on top and look for the tier 2, which is why you can see Yike hovering here, trying to spot what Fnatic are up to.
Crucially, Fnatic take one extra wave to push on the top side, and that allows G2 to get the resets to get Hansama back on the map. Now the TP coming in, Razork looking to disengage, takes Mikyx out. It's Yike now all on his lonesome, pushback coming through for Razork. Yike in trouble, goes unstoppable for a brief moment, but he's going to be a dead man walking. Humanoid on the chase, ready to watch the skies descend upon G2 in the backline, but the follow-up, it's not there. Oscar finally coming in, but the Emperor's Divide pushes them back, and Oscar's pulled right back in. The Zac ignited, ticking the extra healing coming through, courtesy of Jun. But it's Razork in the darkness, finds the angle to lock up Caps, but there's no follow-up. Fnatic, though, surely have access to the Herald now.
Access to the Herald, access to mid-tower if they want to, but I think with low health bars, it looks like they may just send Oscarinin packing and the rest of the squad as well.
Important to remember that Fnatic effectively used their turn to unlock the mid tower. Then they overstay for a wave, and that's the window that G2 tried to punish. They still need to get that reset off, spend some of the gold that they've been sitting on, but great play by them to punish the aggression from Yike. I ultimately think that G2 was too disconnected in their approach. The fact that Hansama still had to catch that top wave, a good ultimate coming from Razork as well to mitigate any of the utility that Mikyx would provide, completely leaving Yike isolated to secure that kill. Fnatic then trying to chase for more could have been dangerous, but they interrupt the backs enough to allow them time to reset and come back out onto the map.
I think as well, they're just very nervous about losing this mid lane tower, because if they'd gone for Herald and taken that extra bit of time, BB and G2 could have gone mid.
Trying to step up, Hook gonna hit a minion, trying to predict the angle onto Noah, excuse me.
I wonder if that was Jun that moved him. and then the hook actually connect, or whether the hook came out first, not entirely sure, but still, the idea, very cool there from Jun. The whole bottom side in control of G2 as the Dragon spawns in 45.
Yeah, I think G2 just really want to try and get the mid tower, and unfortunate that they haven't been able to get that pressure on towards mid. As I was saying, like, for Fnatic not investing time in Rift Herald means they're able to get back and defend that mid tower. Now they get the resets as well. Second item completed for Noah. Really nice job picking up the Edge of Night as well, because it just means that he can't be vulnerable to the hooks from Mikyx as they start to come in. But you're going in fairly blind to this Dragon with G2 having been on the map for that little bit longer.
They can see Twisted Fate on the top side. Cap's very likely to reveal himself in the bottom lane as pings are coming out. It looks like they already have the vision. Fnatic know they can step forward now. Fight for mid lane control. And remember, the later we get into this game, the harder this game starts to feel for G2. Broken Blade in the 1v1. Not too much kill pressure right now as Oscarinin already has a bit of extra armor. Broken Blade trying to flash away, trying to sidestep, waiting for an opportunity. Throws down the gold card immediately, TP's out to safety. It's pretty clean! Oh. You gotta respect that it costs a lot more resources than he would have liked. But BB is able to escape him because Jungler showed on the top side. It's an immediate Drake start for G2.
Exactly that, Drakos. G2 with the punish will secure their second Dragon of the game. It's a interesting situation where it looks like Broken Blade is overextending, but he's playing on the fact that Razork is going to do one of two things. He's either going to turn his attention to me, or he's going to try and contest the Dragon. If he contests the Dragon, then I can actually keep sieging top because Oscar doesn't have TP to get involved in the fight. So G2 creating points of pressure across the map made it hard for Fnatic and guaranteed G2 at least one objective.
Fnatic are slow onto the Rift Herald though, because they reset Jun and they reset Oscarinin, which means that G2 have a play. Tension on this bottom side.
Scoop back, Yike, they're not quite gonna find the angle now. Humanoid can chase the follow-up, but Mikyx's here. 3v2 in the favor of G2. Where's the hook gonna go? Mikyx hoping to find the angle. Hostile takeover does connect, but Mikyx's just running back to the back line. Berserk now, knock up kiss onto Caps. Yike wants to do something else, but here comes Oscarinin in the range on the Zac. Disgusting, a nice knock up from Yike to make sure they can get out to safety. Stretching strike doesn't connect. The Sun Disc raised to make sure that G2 can retreat. Fnatic is continuing to chase. Keep in mind, Noah coming from mid lane as well. Oscar, the range, it's just too much. Humanoid just continues to fly. Yike very likely to give his life in this one, and in the extended play, it's Fnatic coming out on top. The chase will continue. Caps gets locked down. More autos on Hansama just trying to get the slow from the Rend. And again, the Aurelion Sol, every time he gets a kill, it resets, flying towards G2. Caps now down as well.
Greevy's going to push in this top side, but you do have the Rift Herald still for Fnatic. I wasn't sure if they wanted to try and just crack open an inhibitor on the bottom side now as they try and trade, but they're going to look to reset, go into mid, and look to take the mid lane turret instead.
The frustrating part for Fnatic is that they are winning out again on fights. Multiple times we've seen G2 try to force something, and Dagda was already highlighting it. Because Fnatic was slow to start the Herald, G2 know they have numbers advantage, but they try to force a dive. Great flash from Humanoid with Jun right at his back. Still, G2 commit. Mikyx takes 2 tower shots, brings him down to about a third HP, and then they say, you know what, we can actually chase this. Look at the mini-map. Razork already making his way back out onto the map. The mid is controlled by Noah. Now they can create this collapse because there's no way for the Twisted Fate to get involved, and Fnatic guarantee numbers advantage. They do secure a fight, but the problem then becomes now they're overcommitting members on the bot side. They have no one to deal with the pressure top, and Broken Blade secures another tower.
And that's why I wasn't sure off the back of this how much Fnatic wanted to push, because you could have just tossed down the Rift Herald, looked to take the tier 2, and then looked to take the Herald into that bot lane tower as well. But it looks like they just want to try and get this mid lane turret. If you can keep G2 pushed back, he becomes less of a threat on a side lane. But we'll have to see if he can find some space against Oscarinin here. But TP now in behind him.
TP flank, Humanoid Oscar.
Broken Blade, no flash. Easy to interrupt the ulti out with a single auto attack. The pullback is there. Broken Blade ghosting, wants to try and make the same play twice. Flash over the wall, ulti, an extra gold card, a bit of extra range, and again!
No way! Wait, the Baron though!
Baron for the rest of G2. Again, the same exact play. They managed to set them up, they bait them in, they commit too many members, but now all eyes on Razork. The Poppy ultimate has to be clutch. Hansama knocked out of the pit. It's absolute chaos, and it's Noah who's here to clean it up. So much damage coming through. Caps all on his lonesome. Pushback is good, but the hostile takeover ensures that there's nothing else that they can do. Hansama returning. Broken Blade on the way in. Shut down for Hans. Scrappy exchange. The Baron fully reset. They need to disengage. Yike. Nice interrupt on the dive back from Oscarinin, but has he given his life? Good gold card. but the singularity, the slow, so obnoxious now to deal with. Jun getting shredded. Handshake hits onto Yike. Yike needs to walk away, but Oscar again dives in. The reset's going to start to come through for Humanoid. He has the power to continue to find these kills. Hansama stepping up. Mikyx wants one more hook. Can he get a dragon out of the sky? He can't, but a gold card sure as hell can. In the extended fight, Caps refuses to die and finds the kill his team needs.
Somehow, that is an ace for G2. It was they who started off the Baron. It was Fnatic who responds. The fact that Humanoid took so long to arrive looked good, but the Poppy ult was even better. Keep your eyes on Razork. Knocking the Kalista out of the fight means that Mikyx doesn't have the Kalista ultimate to save him. He's now isolated. A good flank arrives in from Oscar, and at this point you're thinking it's a one-team fight for Fnatic, but G2 buy enough time.
With that knockback coming through from Caps, it's so hard to follow up, and then you end up starting to see the pieces fall. Razork goes down. The launch in from Oscarinin, the stretch and strike just barely goes wide onto Caps, so it doesn't get the knockback again. And now Fnatic are very split, where Jun is trying to attack forward, hits Hansama, but with now the handshake down, the CC isn't there. BB's able to focus one side, Caps is safe over the wall, and Noah just has no way to get involved in this fight because of Caps' positioning.
It's Caps' positioning, as you rightly said, Dagda, that really won the fight in the end. Fnatic overextend into this choke point, allowing G2 to turn things
guys,
around.
Very good. Nice.
And as Broken Blade said, very good, very good. Hook connects.
Maybe not the ideal target, but Oscar's still very squishy. Remember, he's had absolutely no money this entire game. Humanoid throws down the ultimate, but he's right next to Broken Blade, and he's starting to hurt. Yike coming in as well. The bailout going to do absolutely nothing. Hostile takeover has Hansama and Mikyx hitting each other, but it doesn't do any damage. Caps pushing Noah back over the wall and taking him out of the fight. The Herald used mid. Does not matter. G2 again taking the fight. They'll clear the Herald out, and they're starting to take over this game.
Back-to-back aces now for G2. It's been the Fnatic show when it comes to the team fighting, but G2 have finally showed what they can do. 23.5 minutes in, a mid-tower will finally fall, but I'd like to see the replay and the positioning of Noah, because we've seen Fnatic force fights without him before, and when I saw the end of that fight, it felt like Noah only arrived at the end, and I have to question if they really needed to force it.
And I don't even think they were trying to force anything. They're just thinking we need to get vision for the dragon. And we've got a Zac. He is tanky. No, he's not. He's level 11. He's only got an item and a half. This guy is nowhere near the level that you want this tank to be at, and G2 are able to hook him, kill him, and now find him again.
Good interrupt. As you mentioned, Oscar just not tanky enough. G2, 3 damage threats.
He's 3 levels lower than Han.
He's 6K down to the Twisted Fate, and yes, money is fake for Twisted Fate. He got $1 million loan from his dad, but it does not matter. They're just too damn strong.
Now with the Baron, they're sieging on the bot lane. Numbers advantage. It's Mikyx's hook that could be the determiner. Ultimate from Varus.
From Noah. Now pulls Broken Blade back, trying to force the follow-up engage though. Razork, there's nothing else. Razork goes in alone. Picked off. They continue to auto-attack the tower. 1 single minion, all that's left. It looks like they're going to go for the inhibitor, then they should back away. They don't have to wait, but in the meantime, it is Broken Blade in the mid lane trying to kick things off. Good singularity coming in from Humanoid. Excellent follow-up ulti to eliminate it. And now Yike in the midst of the entire Fnatic team, but Caps and Hansama crucially still standing, and Caps wants to make the difference. Leap in, hand delivered to Hansama. The Kalista taking over, and Jun, the last man standing in the blink of an eye. G2 are looking to take us to match point. Noah versus 3 carries on the side of G2, but G2 don't want to throw it away. They don't want to give it up. They'll back off, happy with the 2 inhibs. Noah has to keep chasing. Looks like he will just let him leave.
Very few players in the face of adversity will flash in to turn the play in their favor, but Caps is one of them. G2 was fumbling, they were over-aggressive. Fnatic with a great response. You'll see here the ultimate comes out relatively early, but a good hook from Mikyx connects onto Razork. He gets melted. Broken Blade flashes away to safety. Now they begin their siege, and it's going to be Humanoid's ultimate that does a huge amount of work, lowering Yike's HP bar. A nice handshake onto Caps on the backline, and look at this ultimate, stunning up the bot lane, separating out Fnatic. Noah has to base, and then this play from Caps, flashing in. He finds Humanoid, knows he doesn't have any summoners, and then with Hansama at his side, they're able to win out the ending of the fight.
Also, just the Astral Flight being interrupted by Humanoid by Yike meant that he couldn't follow up onto Hansama, who was pretty vulnerable with the direction that Aurelion Sol was moving. So a lot going the way of G2 in that fight, and now a lot going the way of Caps with the damage as they start to move in towards that last remaining inhibitor turrets. G2 have the wave escorted in towards the mid lane. And Fnatic need a miracle if they hope to bring it back, but I think it's just going to be that little bit too late.
See what they can do to mount a defense here. G2 continuing the pressure, a minute 30 till Baron. They'll have full control with 2 inhibitors down over that major objective as Cap standing off to the side. Doesn't feel immediately threatened, does have to give some respect over to Razork, as well as the engage that could come through from Oscar. But G2 just playing this one out slow. And I have to be careful if they overcommit to a pick here, they could just lose the game.
Humanoid just coming back out of base.
I think he's at 50% HP, so the poke is definitely working from Fnatic.
Yeah, crucially Noah able to land those arrows.
Humanoid has the empowered ultimate as well.
Look at
Can't
Cap's
afford to
position.
underestimate him, and you highlighted it, Dagda. Caps is just keeping the split push going. Oh, they're trying to engage on Caps,
Full commit.
but he's now
Shifting
out to
sands
safety.
away. Now all of G2 instantly turn back to the tower. Now they back up once they see the opportunity is passed, but it's the R flash again from Jun to kick things off. 4 members connected, and it's Oscarinin into the backside, ready to get things bouncing. It's the ulti from Humanoid as well, and Fnatic may have just found the fight. Mikyx trying to interrupt the
Caps
Aurelion
go
Sol.
for the end.
Hot Thomas
Caps
still living,
go for the
but
end.
it's Caps ending the game. He doesn't want the fight. He wants the trophy. He wants match point. He doesn't give a damn about the 1v1s. He takes Noah in the meantime, but he's not honoring the Nexus. But he will. One last hit to take G2 to match point.
Once again, it's split pushing Caps that secures it for G2. Love the innovation from Fnatic to engage on Caps, force him back, and then TP flank turn onto the 4v5. Unfortunately for Fnatic, G2 buy enough time for Caps and Broken Blade to find the back door. 2-1, now G2 lead the series.
That was such an incredible ending. It looked like Fnatic had maybe found their moment, but Cap says, I've had enough of this. Let's get us to this next game. I'm over it.
Incredible stuff. Now as we head to break, a small reminder that we'll head to Munich for our 2024 season finals, and tickets will be on sale soon. Let's take a look.
Hi, liebe LEC-Enjoyer, ich bin's, Tolkien. Letztes Jahr hat der LEC bekannt gegeben, dass der LEC Season Finals Roadshow nach München kommt. Aber heute habe ich ein paar extra Secrets für euch. Heute kann ich euch die Daten und die Location für das Event mitteilen. Zwischen Freitag, dem 30. August und Sonntag, dem 1. September, wird ein Wochenende vollgepackt mit krassen League of Legends stattfinden. Die EMEA Masters Summer Finals werden das Wochenende eröffnen, gefolgt vom LEC Laure Final am Samstag und dem LEC Grand Final am Sonntag. Alles in der Olympiahalle München. Auf gar keinen Fall verpassen. Außerdem kann ich euch mitteilen, dass der allgemeine Kartenverkauf am 14. Juni beginnt. Eine Woche nach dem Start des LEC Summer Split 2024. Also, haltet eure Browser offen und sichert euch eure Tickets. Auch der langfristige Partner Santander beteiligt sich mit einem frühzeitigen Zugang zum Ticketverkauf für alle europäischen Karteninhaber am 8. Juni, dem Beginn des Summer Splits. Um auf dem Laufenden zu bleiben, folgt der LEC auf X, wo ihr alle Updates zu Tickets, Finals und der LEC finden könnt.
Red Bull gives you wings.